me open the chat and see. Yeah, I can see that people are already giving me tens in the chat. In the Russian chat, guys, in the English chat, could you give me some feedback whether you can hear me? Good. Then we can start. I would like to ask our technical support to switch the slides because I'm not really in a position to do it myself. Now let's have the introduction here. My name is Tatiana Zhuravleva. Today we are going to have a training on the genius of finance. For those who are hearing about that training or game for the first time, you'll learn a thing or two about it. We will have a 1 hour plus meeting today, considering that we're going to have a Q&A session as well. So I'm a certified host of Genius of Finance, and I'm also a project manager for both the desktop board game and the online version of Genius of Finance. So they are almost about to be launched, and we're going to talk about all three versions of the game. So the first thing that we're going to start with is the familiarization with the history of the creation of the game-based training, Genius of Finance. Several years ago, and it was 2017, after one of the conferences that our company held for our leaders, Antonina Kianovskaya, the lady on the left on your screens, our head of the primary education, proposed a new idea to our CEO, Andrei Khavratov. You can see him on the right. So she proposed this idea of creating a game-based training which would serve to teach people financial literacy and investment literacy. And that idea was welcomed and supported, and many leaders in our company participated in the creation of that game. They developed game-based scenarios, cards. They tested them as well to play with different financials. And that work to create this game took almost a year. And this game is based on a portfolio thinking, the creation of multiple assets, and the creation of passive income, or sometimes it's called residual income, with a slight difference between them. And also the implementation of the skills of conducting business negotiations, making business proposals, etc. And of course, the international format of that game also served as the basis for it. It was very important for us to create such a gameplay and such a content for the game that would be interesting to players across the entire world, to people with different levels of financial literacy and understanding and knowledge about investing in general. Therefore, we decided to create this game, and it took almost a year to create it. Now let's see when the first night of that game happened, the premiere. So for the first time, that game was presented on the 9th of October 2017 in the city of Yalta, Russia. And the game was presented by the author, Antonina Kianovskaya. So what happened is we were having our anniversary conference. And on that conference, in addition to being handed out different materials, handouts, etc., the company already decided to hold a tournament, international tournament, and games have already been one of the mechanisms, one of the tools. And the winners of that game, the game that we used, were also the first people to participate in the official launch of our own proprietary game. And it was quite a friendly environment. And the recording of that event is posted on our YouTube channel, and each and every one of you can go there and see how it was, because this is quite a historical event for us. Let's move on. And the next thing, well, this training did not was not envisioned as a mass scale board game. This training was originally conceived to be conducted only by certified hosts, and we put up a training for certified hosts. Over 3 years, we prepared almost 200 people, certified people, hosts in 14 countries across the world, who now have certificates and are entitled to conduct the game, to host the game version 1.0. It's a green suitcase format. The game was very nicely done. The entire set, the playing board, was printed manually. It was translated into several languages, but it never grew to a large scale or mass playing game, because the popularity grew so fast that the previous version 1.0 did not really cover the demand, all the needs. Hence, the idea to create a new version of it. So let me give you some figures. Over 3 years, more than 80,000 trainings were held by those certified host game masters. On average, a game master holds 2 games per week. Nevertheless, we have hosts in different countries and cities who assume the responsibility and sometimes even hold several games at the same time at several tables. And that's why we had 8,000, 80,000 trainings over the past period. And also, we have international tournaments as well, quite interesting events when so many people across the world are so passionately playing that game. A necessity to conduct international tournaments arises, which shows your preparation level and the growth of our partners, who then rank first in such tournaments. And we held such tournament in Minsk in 2018, 1 year after the game was disseminated across the world. And here on this slide, you can see how it actually happened. We had more than 16 playing tables and more than a dozen different countries participating in that international tournament. It was held with a pool, and it had a prize pool, and it was really interesting to observe the players in their endeavor to win the tournament, to be the first, and win the prize. Now let's move on. And then a moment arrived when we simply had to decide and change the format of the game, because we had so many partners willing to play that game. Over 3 years, the game gained such popularity that many of our partners in their own cities couldn't wait until the certified hosts arrive and organize a game. And then our general director, our CEO, made a decision to develop a new version of the game, like a mass production or mass scale game. And on the next slide, you will see how that new version of the game looks like. In January 2020, this year, a decision was made to create an affordable version of the board game that would not require a professional host, a professional game master. We tried to make the rules as simple as possible and to look into different game scenarios and the way you could behave during those scenarios, and then launch it for sales. That game is for sale only in the API's back office, and at the moment we're not planning to place it into the cold market, internet, online stores, etc., because we have so many partners willing to play that game. So there is no need for us to go outside. Now let's take a look at the history of the creation of that particular version. Here you can see that the game acquired a completely new outlook, new appearance. So we developed a new design, um, and the developers of the online game participated in the development of the design as well, because we have an online version too. So different design options were developed, and we picked the best one. There were different designs both for the external appearance, concept, and colors, and eventually we settled on the design that you can see on your screens right now. Hopefully it will grow roots and will be liked by all of our partners. So what's new in it, in addition to the changed design? Here we also propose new playing pieces. In the current version of the game that we printed out and will go in to distribute among our partners, we had a previous, let's say, versions of the playing pieces with the world currency denominations. And also we created a different format of the playing pieces. It's going to be plastic action figures, as you can see on the screen, symbolizing different professions that we have in the game. And the game starts with you picking your profession card, and on each profession card you have a prototype of that profession. Well, the action figure, which symbolizes that particular profession. And those playing pieces will be offered to you as well. Most probably, they will be included in the next run, in the next version batch that we're going to order at the printing house. Also, I would like to draw your attention to the newly developed logo of the game. In the first version, we didn't have games logo, but only the Academy of Private Investors logo. Whereas here we have quite a new, pleasant looking logotype designed for the game Genius of Finance. Now let's take a look. By the way, could you please switch on to the next slide? Let's see what languages that game is translated into. In the first in the first version of the game, we had 4 languages only. Now it has been professionally translated into 10 languages. Unfortunately, on this slide, there are not all of the languages, but I will tell you anyways. It is translated into English, Spanish, Italian, German, French, Hindi, Manipuri, Arabic, and Vietnamese. Overall, 10 languages. We have been receiving questions whether the game is going to be translated into other languages as well. For now, for starters, we would like to see what the demand for the game is in 10 current languages. And then if we have enough pre-orders, then most probably we'll have the game translated into other languages as well. The printing house, let's say, in order to be physically, economically feasible, we need to have at least 10,000 copies in one batch printed. And there is also another prerequisite from the printing house is to have at least 5,000 or 500 copies in one language. So as soon as we have 500 copies in one language pre-ordered, and we're going to roll out a marketing program and see what language is most required by our partners. And we did introduce such questionnaire, such form, and based on the result of that questionnaire, we made a conclusion that 10 languages are required as of now. But most probably in the near future, there will be a bigger demand for other languages as well, and we will place the relevant printing orders. Now let's move on to the next slide. Well, let me tell you a few words about the manufacturing process itself, how it was. We weren't able to find a single or turnkey solution supplier, so we had to procure components from different producers. So playing pieces were produced separately. We procured dice in Europe and had them delivered to Russia because the whole assembly process should happen in Russia, and I'll tell you why. Then we bought pencils from the pencil producing factory and cradles. Cradles are like an inserts into the box, which then host elements of the game. In other words, it's called organizer. If you play board games, you know what an organizer is. It's an insert with different cells for or places, spots for the cards, playing pieces, dice, and the board to be placed into. So, and on the in request by Andre, um, we decided to make that cradle out of velvet. So when you open it, you will see a very nice, to the touch, soft cradle organizer. It looks very decent, and hopefully all of you will be very happy to get your hands on such a box. The printing, assembly, and packaging is happening in Moscow in one of the major producers of board games, and then they assemble the entire game on a turnkey basis. They package them into a vacuum polyethylene packages and deliver them to our warehouse. The original batch was 10,000 copies in different languages. Russian and language versions will have 2,000 copies each. Italian, Spanish, Hindi, and Manipuri will have 1,000 boxes each language, and such language as German, French, Arabic, and Vietnamese will have 500 copies each. I think for starters, that should be enough for us. And as soon as we see pre orders for next batches, we will surely place such order for the production of the next 10,000 copies. The manufacturing period of such a batch is approximately 2 months. But this is the let's say the first batch, because we had to have all the mock-ups, designs approved first. Now I think the whole printing procedure will take less time because the printing house is already familiar with the process. They have all the approved mock-ups and designs for printing. Storage is at a warm warehouse, especially nowadays when it is winter in or winter is coming in Russia. And thanks to our warm warehouse, the quality will be preserved. The parcels will be delivered by Russian post in retail. We were not able to send the game from one legal entity to another legal entity through our representative offices of the Academy of Private Investors, but hopefully in the new year, 2021, we will surely make this format viable and will send entire batches to your countries where our representatives will be able to order those games in batches and then distribute them locally instead of sending them individually. The game set contains the game itself and a bag with the logo. So in addition to the game, you will get a bag to carry that game in. And we thought it would be quite convenient for you if you need to go somewhere with the game, so that you could carry the game around, you will have that bag with the logo on it. Now let's see how we're going to certify that game. Originally, our version was not copyright protected, had no certification. And this year in August, we submitted all the documents to receive all the patents and the copyright. And it was done in all our languages. We will have 10 different versions of the certificate, and they will be applicable in several top countries where we have the biggest volumes and the biggest number of partners. 1 year after the approval, able to we will be able to produce that game in different countries when we have the patents. At the moment, we can produce that game only in Russia. And in order to do that for other countries as well, we are waiting for the patents. Let's move on. Next slide. What kind of plans do we have for the board game Genius of Finance for 2020-2021? I have, by the way, wonderful news for you. Originally, we planned to launch the sales only for top 35 countries worldwide. We're talking about the countries that rank top places in the sales volume in the API. So now the Genius of Finance is included in our EAP Go Pro. You might have heard that now we have opened the sales for the tickets of EAP Go Pro, and some of those tickets include Go Pro. And since Go Pro will be held online and it has no country-based limitations, hence we decided to lift all the limitations and decided to sell Genius of Finance across the entire world. I think this is quite good news. We are doing all the final configurations for you to be able to buy that game no matter where you are on this planet. The only limitations we do have, and it doesn't depend on our company whatsoever, it's the epidemiological situation in the world, the coronavirus pandemic that we have currently. And the Russian Post might have some limitations as to where they can send parcels. But it doesn't mean that you won't be able to receive the game at all. We're waiting for all the limitations and restrictions to be lifted off, and the game will be delivered to the indicated specified address. When you buy the package, you will be offered to fill in the form where you will have to indicate your login in the API, the postal code, the address, the country, to choose the language in which you would like to receive the box version, and the name of the recipient. You should not necessarily order that game to your name. You can order it to someone else's name if you want to make them a present, or if you just make that person receive the game and then you'll take that game from them. So you should specify their address, their name, and the name of the recipient. It has already been mentioned that after we receive the patents, we will start producing the game in other countries as well. It is very important to note that you will have to cover the postal costs, the delivery costs. So in the back office, you will see the average price for the delivery. And well, it can vary depending on when you are, but you should remember the delivery costs will be covered by you. So the game will be available for sale only by becoming a partner in the Academy of Private Investor. It will not be in open sale. This is as far as the plans for 2021 are concerned, and so hurry up and buy the game. And let's see what other formats of the game we have. And I would like now to moderator to switch on the slide. And look, in addition to the original version, it is a training with a host. The second version is the board games that we've just covered. And now we will look into a third format of playing the Genius of Finance game, which is Genius of Finance Online. In your browser, you can go to the website, open the application, web application, and play that game for free. We implemented the development of the minimum set of functionalities, which is a mirror reflection of the board game version, and all the key functions of the game will be accessible for familiarization and playing, either one against one with AI or multiplayer mode, playing with other players. So before the whole pandemic situation, we already thought about developing an online version, but then the pandemic kicked in and it just confirmed the correctness of our decision and the path that we have chosen. And right now, I would like to familiarize you with the development process in 2020. Let's take a look at the history of the creation of the online version on the next slide. So what we did at first we had a call for tenders. We picked the developer and it happened in April. The game is being developed by the same team that is developing the blockchain for us. It is very good because in future we are planning to synchronize it with our blockchain, but we're going to have our own uh, game token. And since it's the same team, I don't think there will be any difficulties in synchronizing the game version of Genius of Finance with the blockchain of our company. The terms of reference was developed together with the designer team in May, and it was the very first stage of our project. After that, as I told you, the designers developed the single design and logo for both the board game and the online version. It happened in June. Then we had all the translations made. We translated the content of the game. We translated the board game, the cards, profession cards, the game scenario cards. We had the balance sheets translated as well, everything. And all those translations have been performed. The entire the box versions were printed in all languages, no, 9+1, Russian plus 9 foreign languages. But the interface of the online version hasn't been yet developed. The game in other languages. We are developing the interface in Russian, and after we make sure that the game is clear, interesting, and has a user-friendly interface, we will collect all the necessary feedback and reviews in order for us to make the game as convenient as possible for our users. And the second stage of the development will be the translation of the game interface into all 10 languages, as was the case with the box version of the game. In October, we completed the development of the web version, and on the 11th of November, we're going to have a test game for the acceptance of the game, and the game will be accepted by its author, Andrei Havratov. And I think throughout November, we will be able to collect all the necessary feedback, reviews, and address them. And at the end of November, early December, that game will be launched for the Russian-speaking partners. In the test test version, to collect feedback and comments on the user friendliness of the interface. So those are our plans. This is what we have developed so far. And now let's take a look at how that game looks like, the online version at the end of the development stage. Please move on to the next slide.
The first thing you do after you register, as soon as you register in the game, you Go to demo version of this training. There you see that it includes two stages, the success circle and the development circle, so internal and external accordingly, and the computer actually introduces you to the game and what you need to do. There are all these tips included in the demo version, and the goal or the target of you should pursue to get to the next stage, the development circle. Next slide, please. As soon as you start playing the game, then for each player in the screen, both in the right and in the left, you can see his key parameters. In this case, you see that in the left hand corner, there is this measurement, blue or purple. This is the passive income measurement, your start from the moment you start playing and the expected amount of passive income for you to move to the next stage, the development circle. And in the right, you can see key indicators that are your start parameters, such as professions and etc. And with every round of play, there is actually this re-estimation, recalculation of these parameters. By putting your error, you can actually see what it includes. For instance, if you press assets, they will scroll down and you will see which assets or tools, instruments you have in your asset portfolio. In addition to that, you can see the cash amount. So this is the right-hand corner at the bottom. There you can see the amount of cash you have right now. And it varies along the game depending on how you use all those opportunities you get in the game. There are some other buttons included which will actually help you to refer to the vocabulary of terms used and the rules of the game. You can talk in the chat box with other players, and the balance sheet. These are three buttons to your right, below under the column with your performance indicators. I don't know whether you can see my mouse now or not. So these are those buttons that are very relevant and important for your playing and chatting with other players. Now let's have a look at the balance sheet in the online version. So here you see that the balance sheet has an image of diagrams and graphs and all the estimations. This is a good thing that it's done automatically. I do know that in terms of the bot version, for many players, it could be rather difficult, or even you felt very lazy to estimate all these figures. People were willing to find a one among the players who can, even after being paid to run these balance sheets. There are very different situations and scenarios when board games were played, whereas in online version, we included this automatic calculation of all your estimations. So look, at the top, you see 4 different windows where you see your profession for this particular game, your dream you will achieve along this game. You select it as well yourself. And in the left hand corner at the top, so these are those parameters, then you can see the portfolio you have at this particular moment and other key indicators, whereas in the middle of this detailed balance sheet, there will be some tabs. And when you go there, you can scroll down your assets, liabilities to see what you had at the start, what you gained in addition, what you actually mortgage or what you sell, and etc. And the first step is your balance. There is this tab, revenues and expenditures, incomes and expenditures. You can scroll down and see these amounts, the difference, the monthly difference, and the quarterly net income. Whereas at the bottom of this balance sheet, there is some graphs that highlight the achievements of your portfolio, whether it is balanced or not, how it is shaped. So through this graph, you can oversee what your current portfolio includes. And for each segment, for instance, there is business, and you can see the number of businesses opened and functional. You may be a sole owner of this business, or quite possibly you are a co-owner together with someone else. And to see all this, you press the line in the portfolio, the relevant line, the relevant field in the portfolio, and it scrolls down. I believe it's clear with the balance sheet, and we can move on. Now, let's have a look what we can see at the end of the demo version. As soon as demo game is over, so you actually got to know the rules, the interface, how it is functional. You performed against the computer. You are a player, and computer gives you some tips and actually pretends to be other players. And in the result of this demo game, you can see your results, your performances, and your rating. Either you are number 1, number 2, number 3, or you are not in top 3 yet. And after seeing these results, there are 2 options to make a decision. You can come back once again and restart demo version, but by the way, it will be new with no repetition. The cards will be different professions. You can select different professions, and at random, the computer shapes the scenario of your playing for demo version. Or you can make a different decision, realizing that more or less you understand everything, you have advanced in your ranking, and you can move to a game with physical players. So then you press the button, go to the game, and you are in another window. And now let's have a look how it is done. So the next window in the slide is the game room, and you can actually choose here which game to join. Each player can create his own game room, and there are different parameters for the room. Let's have a look at them. If you press, for instance, create my game room, you need to choose from the following. First of all, the language to use to play the game. Secondly, the time for one game, or for the use of one round. And you can actually order the host to accompany your game, and then the game will be moderated by one of the certified hosts, or you can act as a host yourself if you are confident that you can run the game in a good way and give some hints to the players if there are some uncertainties. In addition to that, there will be prize funds provided, and you can play for the internal game tokens. They are not true ones, but when you register, some of them will be provided to you, but when you play, you can actually buy some hints or use them for other purposes. And at the same time, if you are a winner of the game, a part of this prize fund for the game will be accrued to your account. Therefore, it's quite fascinating to play with physical players and choose the level of the game, as there are different levels as well. For beginners, the level will be 1, and the limit for the prize fund will be specific as well. For advanced players, the level will be different. And for the proficient players with some relevant successes in that game, there will be level 3. And now we don't offer subscriptions to these levels for the possibility to make some earning through the game. But when we test, we will see whether it's user-friendly, clear, and understandable, whether the content is clear. But as soon as all this is brought combined and together with the translations attached, then we will actually activate this function of your playing for getting this prize phone, and it will be synchronized with our blockchain, but it will be a bit later. This is our plan for the later time. And now we actually did our best to incorporate all those opportunities into this online version that later on will be developed further. I believe it's clear with this version, with the creation of the game. And now let's have a look at the plans for the development of this version. Well, first of all, registration and authorization provide for the synchronization with the Academy of Private Investor, meaning that those players with the login and passwords in the Academy, they use their logins and passwords without new registration. But new players who get the partnership referral link, they register in NEEW and at the same time get the access to the back office of the Academy to test, first of all, their level of preparation or training, and then to be able to use the Academy of Private Investor for their further development. In the game, I already mentioned there will be single user mode and multi-user mode. Single user mode when you compete against the PC, and multi-user mode when you play against physical players. By the way, you can make your own game room and convene your team and send the link, and then only those players who you invited will play with you. Then there is this match-ups playrooms, and we discuss it. It will be enhanced, expanded, and improved. And for user friendliness, additional developments or perks will be added. We have already incorporated the streaming on Twitch, and apart from being a partner, you can also act as an observer. You can get a link to already running game, the game which is being played at this particular moment, and by going to that link, you can observe the way other players play. We have already developed the back offices and accounts for the players, but they will be synchronized, and these accounts in future can be used for the exchange into our blockchain-based tokens. And in the game, apart from players, there are another two functions, such as a host and the administrator. So a host is quite clear: certification, getting some specific level of knowledge to be a proficient host and to help beginners to advance along the game, whereas administrators are the authors, and they can create and add new cards, new scenario cards and create new scenarios for the game. And in addition, they may add additional professions, make some changes and amendments to the rules. So an administrator is the one who develops the content of the game in particular. We are going to have chat and a Telegram board operational. Now we are designing them, and I have already mentioned integration with the API, chargeable subscriptions for participation in tournaments. This is our plan, and translation of the web interface into other languages. We do plan to do it in 2021. We will meet this plan, and hopefully each and every of you will be able both to play a board version and the online version in the near future. Well, and in the end, let's have a look at 3 versions of the game together for you to distinguish, as quite recently there was a training and people asked the questions without distinguishing every version from each other, how they can select which format to play, and therefore in one slide I tried to show them all. This game training could be bought and you may play it only with certified coach present. And this is the first game developed 3 years ago, and it does not imply mass use. This is a training with the certified coach present. You can acquire or order this training only when your host is located nearby or you are ready to go to the location where this game is run. And on our website, there will be the hosts and their contact details for all the 14 countries for you to contact them and order such training. The company made a decision that the remains of the game, the first version of the game, they will be on sale, and quite soon I will tell you, in the short run, I will tell you how this process will look like, how we are going to sell out these green suitcases, these boxes, and the price of this training will be $1,000 as it requires full preparation for certification. And this training will be done online with all the recordings to be provided to you. You need to watch these lessons and then sit your tests. And after getting a performance of about 50% after this examination or test, you will be certified. And only after being certified, you will be able to receive this green suitcase of the board. And we are not actually going to print out this version in addition, so only the remains will be sold out, and the number of certified hosts trained by that time, we will stop at that point, and only them will be able to run these trainings for the first version of the game. The second option is the board game for your self-study. This one is without a host. You can buy it at 350 units in our back office only by joining the VIP club. Without being a member of the VIP club, you are not eligible to buy this game, and it will be sold only as the host training. So by paying 1,000, you buy this host training, you get your certification, get your certificate, and we send this box version to you as well after being certified. And the third option is online game in single or multi-user mode. And here you can play free of charge, and this chance is given to everyone, with the only exception that now it is currently available in Russian. As soon as we translate it into all the other languages, then all our partners will be able to approach this format of the game. Please note here that each game is your tool to get to know the philosophy of our new economic evolution of the world and the objectives pursued by the Academy of Private Investor from the point of view of financial literacy improvement globally. In addition to being able to learn yourselves and assess your current training and preparation, but by using the three formats you can already start making money, because by training others you sell your knowledge, and when you play it's much easier to make your beginners learn what happens when they don't understand, they are not aware of investment rules or laws, or they don't understand some economic terms. And after filling these gaps, they will be more interested in improving these skills. And when they make mistakes by playing a game, but not in real life, when people invest in some strange scam instruments and eventually lose their money. Whereas here, you can actually train them and give them some hints how to act properly. Therefore, I'm hopeful that all these formats of the game will be in high demand. I'm impatient and looking forward to the start of the sales, and the board game format is already on sale, but quite soon there will be separate EIPs, Genius of Finance, to buy a board game and the remains of the first version of the game as the training with a host. So I'm done with all the information I wanted to share with you. And in the end, I have one amazing, cool news for our certified hosts. In the chat box, please give me an indication somehow if you are a certified host and already have the right to run these games. So please put a plus in the chat.
So for you,
Great. Давай.
for you guys, I have great news for you. So at our last webinar, people asked questions. How we're going to receive new certification, those who already have the old certification. And our CEO decided that you will be able to upgrade it. So you will have a 90% discount to take a new training to become a certified host. So the training costs $1,000, but if you have already the old certification, you will only have to pay $100 to get the box and to get certified, to familiarize with all the new rules that are necessary. I'm also a certified host, and it's very good that Andre prepared that upgrade for us. Very soon we are going to have this option in your back office, because we have all the logins and passwords for our certified host. We have the list. And you will be able... So guys, I just asked whether $100 is going to include the game itself as well. So guys, what she's saying is that you're going to receive both the game with the bag to your house, plus you will have access to all the recordings you need to watch for you to become certified. So you will be able to take the test to see how ready you are, and we won't require you to take any additional exams because you're already certified. Whereas the new rules for the new format are quite easy to understand. And if you already have been certified before, you will easily understand all the rules. Yeah, that's why I decided to ask that question again. So guys, if you have any questions, I'm ready to take them. Tatiana, So, guys, I know how long it would take to deliver the box to different countries. So, remember, we have, first of all, what you need to keep in mind is that we have some delivery restrictions. So, as soon as you want to make an offer, you will see whether the game will be shipped to you right away or it will be put on hold and will wait for the restrictions to be lifted, shipment restrictions. Well, usually from Russia to foreign country, it takes 3 weeks and more for the package to be delivered. We made a test shipment to Australia. Within 3 days, the Russian post sent it from their terminal at the border, and now the game is somewhere on the way towards Australia from Russia. So the Russian post took 3 days to do it. And then how long the whole delivery is going to take, as we were told by Russian Post, it usually takes 3 weeks to deliver a parcel from Russia to any other country. It says at least 3 weeks, so it might be more. We'll make a test and send the package to all of the countries, and then I'll be able to give you more specific details about the timelines. As for Russia, the internal shipment within the territory of Russia, it might take from 1 week to 3 weeks. That's how we were explained it. Could you please tell us those people who will pay the $1,000 training, will they receive any bonuses such as CRUs or World CRUs? Yes, they are included, but you will know about the amount to be included after you make the purchase. We don't have any open data on how many CRUs are going to be included after you buy the training, after you buy the certification training. But there will be a bonus included as well. I'm now um, reading the chat. Someone says, I bought the EAP Go Pro with the Genius of Finance in it. Should I receive the certification training, pay for the certification training as well? Host certification? No. If you bought the EAP Go Pro ticket, you will receive the game. And as soon as we start our shipments, we will start mass shipments on Wednesday. So those of you who bought the EAP Go Pro and received the game, or if you were a marathon leaders and you received that game as a gift, we will start shipping the games on Wednesday, because it turns out the Russian Post does not package the parcels that we're sending. So we had to order special packages, and on Wednesday we'll start shipping, packing and shipping the games by post. Any more questions? Someone says, where should I take the form that you mentioned? When you make a purchase, immediately you will be receiving a form where you will have to put in your first and last name, the game that you need the language that you need the game in, the country for the game to be shipped, the address, and the name of the recipient of the parcel for us to be able to indicate that data at the post office. А какая версия предлагается? So guys, I asked about, the first question was which version of the game is offered for those who purchased EAP Go Pro. The box version of the game will be included in the EAP Go Pro. If you want to buy the remaining copies of the previous version, which is the green suitcase, for that you need to buy the training, $1,000 worth, and it does not include the GoPro ticket. When we start the sales of that training, it's going to happen very soon. We already have all the settings in place. We will see how many remaining copies we have of the old version. I know that there are not very many games left in English. In Italian, 16 copies, and some more copies in the Russian language. And there were no other languages. And we had this game in the Czech language, we sold it out. So there are very few remaining copies. And when the sales are launched, you have to be first come, first serve. And with the GoPro ticket, EAP GoPro, you will receive only the box version. As for the using the services of DHL or UPS, it was decided that we will work with the Russian Post only. So unfortunately or fortunately, you will be able to pick only the Russian Post in your back office. For people who are overseas, who are not in Russia, living in Russia, you will see one delivery price, and for Russian nationals, you will have um, another price. You will see the average price because it costs different amounts for different countries. Another question is the South Africa included in those list of 14 countries, and who the certified hosts are, and where we can see find the list for the certified host, for example, like Oman. Okay, I got your question. We have that list. We're working with it. We will do all the upgrades and updates. We will set up the back offices, and in the back office, you will see the link where we will give all the contact details by countries and of people by countries, and you will be able to get in touch with them to play with them in the regions where they live, and you can find it in the same place in the back office where you can find the EAPs, and we will also post news about that list being published. But previously we didn't have any open information about that list. We're now doing all the double checking. We are checking the certificates. We got in touch with Antonina Kianovska, and as soon as all the checking is done, we will make that information available for you guys. Just have a little bit more patience. Right now, I'm buying the box version. Will I be able to receive the training to become a certified host for the old version? Well, let's split that question into two parts. If you're buying just the game without the certification training, then you will have to buy the training separately. So you will buy the game, and only then you will buy the certified training to become a certified host. But it doesn't matter what kind of the version of the game you have. If you have the box version, then you can certify to become a host for the box version as well. Although certification covers all versions of the game. So if you become certified, you will be entitled to host any kind of game as a game master. The first, the second, and the third version. The first game usually required a game master to be present, then the box version and online. So the training that we're going to sell to become a qualified host will cover all three versions of the Genius of Finance. Hopefully I answered your question. Will there be wholesale buying rates for bulk copies, and do you have the tariffs? Well, at the moment, there are no wholesale sales. I'll explain why. Because if we send more than 3 copies abroad, there will be extra taxation on the recipient at the other end. We realized that the customs duty is too high to make those shipments economically viable. When we are able to ship whole batches to our representative offices, then we will be able to sell it wholesale. But for now, it will be retail individual sales. There are no wholesale. There is no wholesale envisaged as of now. Let's see how the sales of the 10,000 copies are going to go, and after that, we will decide how we're going to send those games to our representative offices in big numbers. That's my answer to you right now. Someone says, I'm living in United Arab Emirates. So can you send it to your office in Dubai and then I can pick it up from there? Or should it be shipped to my physical address? Well, at the moment, we ship to your physical address because if we ship between two, if the delivery is between two legal entities, a purchase contract is required, which means money should be exchanged between two legal entities. And since the game is bought by the physical individual, then we can ship the game only to a physical individual. As soon as we, I repeat, are able to send our game to our offices, representative offices, we will inform you about it right away. We will surely implement it in 2021. We're just opening our offices. We haven't yet agreed on the personnel that would be in charge of shipping the games to different countries. It is all still at the stage of development, implementation. We will have all the contracts with the financially responsible people, and only then we will be able to ship the games in en masse. And for now, we can do it. We will be implemented next year. How can hosts make money? Someone asks. I already mentioned that all trainings can be held for a fee. For example, you buy a box version of the game. Look, in the market, there are a lot of different financial games. One of such games is the Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki. And that game is held almost everywhere on the planet for a fee. You can Google it up, cash flow in your region, and you will see what's the cost or the price of such game in your particular region. But in addition to simply moving the pieces, playing pieces, and reading out scenarios from the cards and making calculations the way it is in Kiyosaki's game, in our game, there are a lot of active actions that the player needs to take. So it's a real training. And you will have to enter it into partnerships with other players. And I think the fee that you might charge can be even higher than the financial cash flow by Kiyosaki. Just take a look at the average price of such games in your region, and make it a little bit lower. It's for marketing purposes. That's what we do here in Moscow office in order to attract as many newcomers as possible and to get them involved in this training. When the customer flow is established, then you can control the prices yourself. So everyone who buys the box version decides on the pricing policy themselves. And then you will see whether the price that you established is acceptable or affordable to people for them to come to your game. Zenit, could you please specify the question from the Manipuri room? Okay, make it more specific. Meanwhile, these Spanish people are saying, do we need to have a certification for the board game? Not necessarily. That's why this box version was developed, is for it to be available to masses in large, like to common people. You don't need to be a certified host to play it. But there are people who would like to do business with the Genius of Finance game, started making money off it. That's why we have a different EAP where you will receive a training and will receive all the qualified training of on how to be able to host any format of the game, the original green suitcase game, the box version, and the online. And when you receive that certificate, you will be a unified certified host for all the formats of the Genius of Finance game that exist today. So when you buy the game, you don't need certification to play it. But if you want to become a certified host, then you need to buy a separate EAP. I think we need to wrap it up because we've already been having this webinar for an hour and two. Tatiana, we have two questions. Someone asked which version is superior for Genius of Finance. Not really clear though what it means. Yeah, Zenith, you need to make it more specific. Let me answer this question in the following way. What's the difference between different versions of the game? Okay, so the original, the first version of the game, 1.0, that was developed by our author, Antonina Kianovskaya, it has a lot of, let's say, unpleasant news, such as you have been fired or your company has been subject to hostile takeover, like raiding, and you pay taxes, too high taxes, and those situations can eventually result in a player losing all of their money, and it's quite a big stress for newcomers. So I recommend you play that game after you play the light version of the game, the box version of the game, and you become more resilient and resistant to negative news. In the box version, we don't have such negative news in which players might not be always capable how to handle them. And the box version is emotionally aimed at a person receiving their passive income and be on the positive vibe, positive note, so that at the end they could achieve their dream. It's about instilling or nurturing investment-based thinking and teaching people how to make money from different assets, making passive incomes, and not only as a hired labor. And the box version allows to do that. Whereas the online version isn't much different from the box version. It just repeats the box version, but it's online. And we, as authors of the game, can introduce new game scenarios that are not included in the box version because we have a function of opening, a possibility of opening new scenarios, new situations, new professions, etc. So this is the difference between the games, and you can choose yourself which game to buy. I'm not going to recommend you any one specific game. All of them are quite interesting. Tatiana, if we are partners, how we can make money with the online version? Well, I already told you that online version has the option of annual subscriptions for different games with a prize pool. So when you create a game, you can add a prize pool to that game. Players enter that game knowing how much they will have to pay as an entrance fee to the prize pool. And at the end of the game, that prize pool will be allocated across the winners. And there will be 3 different levels. You can make money as a beginner when you win the game. You can make money as an advanced player and as a professional player for the VAP level. And it will be implemented when we synchronize it with blockchain, because to play for, let's say, fake money that you cannot really convert into fiat money or cryptocurrency, I don't think it will be fun for game money. But when we synchronize it with the blockchain, it will be hard currency or cryptocurrency. I guess, guys, let's call it a day today, right? Because in on Friday we will have such webinars every Friday. Although next Friday it's going to be a webinar on data mining, but on Friday thereafter, I will be delivering a similar presentation. So invite your friends, relatives, other newcomers for them to understand what kind of game we're talking about here. And I will also answer your questions, and I'm sure you will have different questions every time because all people have their own questions, and we will figure this out game this we'll figure this game out together. So guys, here I would like to bid you farewell. I'm sure you will find this game very interesting. uh, the sales are just about the sales have just already started, and on Wednesday we will start shipping the game to all the recipients, and plus you can buy that game as part of the GoPro EIP GoPro ticket package as well. Then that's it. Thank you very much, and bye bye.